What's up, everybody, and welcome to Living with the Landspeeder. I am one of your hosts, Derek Frank. I am not the one that normally gives our intro. Unfortunately, Mr. Street is not here with us tonight. He had too much fun doing May the 4th stuff, so he's out. But as always, I'm here with my good buddy, Katrin.
Hey-o.
And we're here with a really cool guest for a lot of reasons. So number one, another guest recommended this guest. So first I'll say welcome to Chris Colvin and Colvin Creations. And Ron Stein recommended him to us. So whenever another guest is like, hey, you need to have this person on your podcast, I'm always listening. But Ron is extra, like, he knows his stuff. Like he was just at like PhillyCon and all of this stuff, and finally got to meet James Arnold Taylor in person. And if anybody's ever seen his podcast and seen his basement, he puts all of us to shame. Until I saw why he liked you so much. And that's because of what's happening behind you. So Chris, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you have R2-D2 in your house?
Awesome. Well, thanks very much, guys, for having me. I appreciate it. It means a lot. So my name is Chris Colvin, Colvin Creations on Instagram, and I build droids. I've been a Star Wars fan since 1977. Yes, I am that old. I saw the first one back in the theaters when I was just a young lad. Fell in love with the droids. It was just a great story. Just so much fun. Star Wars was such an important part of my childhood. The greatest parts of my childhood, actually. So over time, I kind of grew through it for Star Wars a little bit. We become adults and do adulting things. And a few years ago, I joined the R2 Builders group and started lurking about there. And I go, I wonder what it would take to build R2-D2. And I started the trek. It took me about 2.5 years to build R2. Lots of blood, sweat, tears, and maybe a bit of swearing going on. Lots of magic smoke let out of some boards and wires. But here you see R2 is alive and well. He's doing pretty darn good things. We do a lot of community outreach. We visit veterans hospitals. We do Down syndrome awareness walks, childhood cancer awareness walks. Really great causes. And over my other shoulder here is KT-27. KT-27 is named after a young lady, KT, the founder of the 501st. His daughter died of cancer, and she wanted an R2 unit to look over her as Amidala did in Star Wars. So the builders got together and they built her a KT. And unfortunately, KT did pass, but her legacy absolutely lives on with these droids, ambassador droids. Mine is KT-27, as I say, which means she's the 27th official droid, KT droid, which is awesome. And she'll do the same type of community outreach, awareness for children's hospitals and things like that. So it's all about giving back to the community. It's all about making people smile, make people happy. Kids of all ages, my age, your ages, everybody just loves to see R2, and they give them hugs, kisses, they cry on him, and it's amazing. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of questions just about so 2 years to build this. Have you made one for anyone else, or is it just for you?
So we can't build for other people. It's one of the agreements the club has with Disney and Lucasfilm is we're not going to build these for others. We're not going to profit in any way, shape, or form. So if people want to give us money, we politely say no. We turn it down and suggest folks give to a charity instead. For example, R2 just did a wedding on May the 4th. Great timing for a Star Wars wedding. And the folks were in the military, and so they made a donation to Wounded Warriors in R2's name. So it just kind of keeps that community going, that community outreach going. And it makes a huge difference. So all of the builders across the world, they all build these knowing there's no financial gain at the end. There's actually a lot of financial cost to building some of these. But as soon as you see the first child smile, cry, hug, even the adults, it's all worth it. All the blood, sweat, tears, I say, all worth every penny, every effort, everything you've done, because you see that R2 is making a difference. It's amazing to see.
So what you're saying is I can't buy an R2 from you.
I think Disney has them for sale for about $25,000. Mine didn't cost anywhere near that.
Yeah, but if you put your time in there.
Yeah, I'll do a road trip and come have R2 and KT visit you. How's that?
That would be quite stellar.
Nice.
Now your R2's met some pretty cool people too, right?
He has. He's kind of been a gateway because even celebrities that work with R2 on set or have seen him with Disney and Lucasfilm, they are amazingly nice and kind with R2 and myself. One of the first folks I met through R2 was Chris Bartlett, who plays C-3PO amongst and many other droids in Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett. I think it's on Ahsoka as well. So I spent some time with Chris. Super generous guy. He actually designed the artwork on the shirt that I'm wearing right now. Spent some time with Misty Rosas. We met Emily Swallow. Anthony Daniels posed with his hand on top of my R2-D2, which almost put me into tears because C-3PO was touching my R2-D2. He actually signed the inside and the back panel. Spent some time with Warwick Davis, non-Star Wars folks, John Rice Davies. If you're familiar with Sebastian Bach from Skid Row, he insisted on seeing R2, so he spent some time with Sebastian. Sebastian got down on one knee and sang a Star Wars song that he created just for R2. I have it on video, and it's friggin' amazing.
That's
but
awesome.
he's met Leave It to Beaver, Jerry Mathers. He's met John Rice Davies from Sala from Indiana Jones. All kinds of really great folks, all amazing human beings, just really just generous with their time and their comments and everything else. It's certainly been a gateway to something I never thought I would be a part of.
Yeah.
And here I get to do this with you guys. I mean, again, this is the same thing. R2 is getting me places, I guess. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah, it's awesome. It doesn't just look a little bit like him. It's not like, it doesn't look like a toy. It like you can make it Disney World. It's like the real thing, and it's like a person back there. He's sitting there chattering the whole time, and it's like, oh my gosh. If I feel like if I were to see it in person, I'd get goosebumps, just being near it, because it just looks so awesome. So some of the parts that are on there that I see is how did you craft those? Are those printed, or like how do you make those parts?
So great question. So the only thing 3D printed on R2 is the center foot shell. Everything else is the styrene or the aluminum. KT, on the other hand, is also hybrid, but she's a wood frame, wood legs, but then she has aluminum skins, aluminum dome, seal feet, and so on. So KT weighs 150, 160 pounds or so. R2 is probably in the 115 to 120 range. So there's a little bit of heft to both of them, but KT is bringing as the heavyweight current.
That's awesome.
That's all. Yeah, and I've seen tons of the pictures, and of course the pictures look amazing. But for some reason, with it sitting next to you with like with R2, because I'm dark side through and through. Everybody that knows me knows I'm all dark side, but R2 has a huge place in my heart. Like I will have an R2-D2 tattoo, probably sooner than later. R2-D2 tattoo, but like
from Tatooine.
It's so amazing just seeing you in the screen and seeing the R2. It's different than the pictures. It really is.
It's different because it's video, but it's it's live. R2 can move around. He can do different things, right? And he comes to life. It's amazing. And I could share a quick story if you don't mind. But one of the veteran hospitals we visited Colorado before we moved out here. We visit veterans, and those that want to have a visitor, R2 will come in. Well, one of the last rooms I went to on this particular visit, the veteran said, I'll take a visitor. And so I have a handler with me, and she goes in first, and R2 comes in. And I have the music so he can play the Star Wars theme as he comes into the room. And this veteran's eyes got as big as saucers and welled up with tears. And he started talking to R2. And I remember you when I was a kid. Oh, I love the way you did this scene. I love how you talked to C-3PO. And he is just fully engaged in conversation with R2-D2. It's as if nobody else is in the room. I drove him around to the side of the bed. He's got tears running down his cheeks. He reaches out and just stroking R2's dome and just talking to him. And I had to go in the hallway at the end and take a break because that really moved me. It really did. And we see different things along the way, but in general, not even in general, they're always happy tears. They're always happy to see him. I can't tell you how rewarding it is for any builder, any of the builders, to see that kind of reaction to something that you built in order to give back. It's so rewarding. It really, really is.
That's pretty
awesome.
Amazing. Well, yeah.
Well, I've got another question. I mean, have you perfected him to so that he does the shake when he he gets excited or anything like that?
Well, actually, I can definitely. He can make him. There's not a lot of room in here right now.
Yeah.
He definitely.
That's
he can
awesome.
Move, turn, scoot, shake. I'll have at the wedding on Saturday. He was dancing with some people, so he's on the dance floor, wiggling back and forth and doing all sorts of things. And when people see R2 start to dance, they think it's great. And I've got the song Celebration, or he has the song Celebration in there, so we'll play that. Have some fun with that. We did a con here in Florida somewhat recently, and a couple of guys from Pirates of the Caribbean were there, so I, programmed R2 to play the Pirates of the Caribbean theme. When we went to meet those guys, we saw a Johnny Depp cosplayer, which again, it's the stuff you can do. It's so flexible, right? You can do different things. If you know you're going to do a certain event, you can add a song, add an effect that's specific to where you're going. So it's great that it can be modified kind of on the fly.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know you're working on some other droids. So what are you working on right now?
So I had a handful of droids I left back in Colorado and gave to some builder friends. I had a full-size IG-88 battle droid, 88, Vincent from the Black Hole. But right now, if you hear it, the printer's kind of running. I'm working on Chopper. So Chopper, I think, is going to be my next little guest that I'm working on. I was
going to ask if you were going to do. I was going to ask if you were going to do Chopper. That's cool. Yeah, but did you say something from the Black Hole?
Yeah. So if you remember Vincent from the Black Hole, he was the guy that would float around, right? Not Bob. Bob's the beaten up version, but Vincent. Yeah. So I built a full size Vincent as well. So I was in Colorado, and again, not certain where I was going to end up in Florida at the time, how much room I was going to have, and sending those things across country in a truck. It's 3D printed, so they're not especially sturdy on long drives and bumps. So I gave them to my local builder friends and just said, hey, have fun with them and good luck to you.
Man, it's a good thing, Ryan. It's a good thing Ryan's not on this episode because he loves the Black Hole. And
oh, does he really? Oh, I'll find some pictures.
Yeah, he would have never let that end for sure. But speaking of not letting things end, I mean, I would love to talk about R2 some more, but I know you were really excited about doing this and you proposed an idea. So the ride we're doing tonight is a little bit different. We haven't done this before. We're going to throw it back to a ride that has been rethemed and doesn't exist anymore. So Chris messaged us, or at first he texted me and he was like, I have an idea. I think it'd be kind of cool. And he told me, and I was like, oh, yeah, I like that idea. So then I pitched it to the guys, and they're like, oh, that sounds great. And then they're like, wait, he has an R2? Yeah, let's ask him to be a guest. So your idea was to take the Great Movie Ride in Starwarsify it. And I thought that was amazing. So I say we just dive in. So this episode 27, we are doing the Great Movie Ride. We've never done this before, but I think, Katrin, you had mentioned maybe we should make this a little bit of a series too.
Yeah. Go back and look at former rides that became something else. Ellen's Universe of Energy.
and you were all the catalyst for that idea. Right? When I was listening to your Starwarsifying the Indiana Jones Fun Spectacular, they were talking about how that's one of the only remaining rides activities you can do at what was MGM Studios. And the first thing I went to is the Great Movie Ride, just because I love old Hollywood. I love all of this stuff. It's great fun. And I thought this would be a really cool thing to do, not knowing that I was going to be invited on the
Hey, you pitch an idea like that, you're coming on.
That's right.
All right, there you go. Hey, Derek, real quick, you said you're on the dark side. You'll be happy to know I'm working on an animatronic 000.
Oh, that's cool.
So I've got the torso and arms kind of done and all circled up. So it'll take some time. I'm new to that, but we'll see.
That's fun.
Yeah, I'm first in line. I'm first in line for that. That's cool.
Awesome.
Well, I guess I'll go first tonight, and
do it.
Mine's brief, but it's exciting, and I think it is. At least maybe not. It's not. Again, it's not the Beauty and the Beast episode, but I like it. So we were talking, I think maybe it was even the last episode, we were talking that Mandalorian hasn't been brought up much in the recent episodes because it's not on right now. So I wanted to throw it to Mandalorian. And if you couldn't tell, one of these days, Beeline Creative and Geeky Tiki's are going to sponsor us because
I hope so, man.
I mean, I feel like I missed the opportunity when I was living in Nashville because, they're in Franklin.
Yeah.
And I used to go to their events at the bar at Chopper, which is really cool, which is like a robot tiki bar. And I'm like, they need to put out a Chopper mug at Chopper.
Sounds like a place to be.
Yeah, it was awesome. So that's like where I got a lot of mine. So mine is Mandalorian. So first, as guests come in, I wanted to keep it classic still. You're still going into the theater. It's still that original queue, but as you're walking through, they used to have like the ruby slippers and they had different things in the Great Movie Ride. Now you have memorabilia from Mandalorian. You've got his pistol and you've got his helmet, and maybe there's even a little Grogu in there, maybe just Grogu's cup,
the little ball from the shifter.
So things like that, which like little memorabilia from the show. But then as you go in, Disney's new thing is they really like the holograms. And I'm going to say I really like the holograms. So as you go into the first, like the queue area, you have a hologram map of the galaxy. And as it's like kind of going around and you're looking, you get ushered in, or as you're getting ushered in, there's a facade of the Razor Crest. So you actually walk into the Razor Crest. That's where you see the map. And as everything starts getting punched in, a big holographic Mando pops up right in front of you, and the voice, the music and the voice are going on. And he said, we're going to go on a journey. We have to protect the child. And so from the Imperial remnants, we've got to go, and we've got to go now. And so as you go, you jump into the Razor Crest and you start doing the pre-ride, kind of like on Rise of the Resistance, where you have the pre-shuttle. But then as you land, your next vehicle is the speeders. And so there's so many different speeders you can have. So it like, I like how every car could be different. And so there's different opportunities. That's where I think Rise of the Resistance is cool, but I feel like it would be cooler if there were some different options. So that's what I want with this ride. So the first thing you go as you're going through within your speeder, you go into a blaster battle where Mando is fighting, and it's that first kind of battle when he's fighting all of the people going into the town when he was originally taking the child in. And so you get through there, but just like in the Great Movie Ride, Mando now has come out, and he's your guide with you on your speeder, and he's shooting and he's blasting. So he's actually there. You get that interactive thing, and then you go in and you go down to the Armorer's Enclave, and that's where you get more armor made. So that's really, obviously really powerful scene as well. And then the next scene you're going through, and there's the animatronic Grogu that everybody's been waiting for. You've seen him in the prim and everything, and that's fine. But now he's standing, and he's like on the little rock altar thing, and he's using the Force. So he's actually lifting objects, and they've got a cool effect with him lifting objects throughout the whole scene around you. The next scene, you have to escape. And now you're like running back. You're trying to get back to the Razor Crest, and Razor Crest blows up. It's gone.
Of course it does. Just like in the show.
Yeah, just like in the show. Just poof, it's gone. and the final scene. The final scene is you have a confrontation with Moff Gideon, and he's got the Darksaber. And so you have a little battle with Moff Gideon, and then the ride just, it ends, and it leaves you kind of wondering what's happening. But that scene could be a lot. You could have TIE fighters going on. You'd have all kinds of fun stuff. But the coolest part is you leave and you go into the gift shop, and that's where you have all your Mando merch, and you got your Darksabers. And, maybe even, you could buy your own Beskar, or maybe you could even craft something. So That's mine. It's the
Kyber
action
crystals
pack.
from
Kyber
I Am Geek.
crystals
So
from I Am Geek Shop
yeah, of course.
on Etsy.
Yeah.
Quick plug.
Two things. The armorer needs to say this is the way, at some point during that scene right there, right?
Totally.
And then when you talked about Grogu moving things around, you missed an opportunity to move the car up and down. Like this is this part where it goes, what? And everybody's like, oh my gosh.
Now that would be cool.
That'd be awesome.
And then maybe he gets distracted and it falls really
It
fast.
falls and then you go off.
Yes. Just as the ride's coming to a close, Moff Gideon says, "You have something I want."
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
And then
Gotta have because that's what the great movie ride is about, right? Hearing those classic lines, seeing those classic scenes, and you got to throw in all those, this is the way. You have something I want, and what do they say on what's the other one? I've spoken. you missed out.
Exactly. See, this is why I need you guys because like I was actually really, really excited, but I was so scared to do this one because I was like, that's such a great ride.
Yeah,
like I really loved that ride. Plus, let's be real, I was actually just really excited about R2.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, on the next episode.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. Well, all right. Chris, you want to give it a shot? Yeah.
So some of these might sound a little familiar to you. I'm thinking maybe you were watching over my shoulder while I was making my notes. I do have some documents, so if I'm not looking at the camera, I apologize. So the queue takes the guests to the streets of Mos Eisley, full of all sorts of droids, where the wretched hive of scum and animatronic villainy. There are live-action actors walking throughout the queue, trying to sell their wares to the guests as they wander the streets. As the queue comes to a turn, there are members of the Rebel Alliance rushing people through a series of doors that open to a Landspeeder loading area. It is here the Landspeeder split off into 3 separate tunnels. Now, this is the next part. There's different events going on at the same time, depending on which speeder you get in. The first speeder rips across the planet Tatooine by being surrounded by 3 sides by stormtroopers and Tusken Raiders. The speeder pulls into a cave as a quick hideout as let the danger pass. It is there the Jawas come out and try to hotwire the Landspeeder that they're in until they hear a terrible roar. It's the Rancor emerging from the dark, howling and screaming, moving towards the cart as all the passengers are going, what the heck? Jawas run off in terror while the Rancor grabs hold of the Landspeeder and shakes it. The Landspeeder breaks free and heads back to Mos Eisley. In the second tunnel, the Landspeeder stops inside a docking bay where they see an X-Wing and a Y-Wing waiting for guests to board for a ride through the stars. So, Derek, here you go. We got multiple rides going on here, right?
I like it.
Copycat. Copycat's all I'm saying. As the Y-Wing and X-Wing approach the Death Star, a number of TIE fighters firing their weapons move in to intercept them. It's a race to the trench where the guests will have the opportunity to launch torpedoes into the vent, potentially destroying the Death Star. Now, the third story. There's a lot of moving parts here. The third Landspeeder stops at the legendary Docking Bay 94, where it slows to a stop next to the Millennium Falcon. The Falcon's boarding ramp is lowered just as stormtroopers enter the area to try to accost the guests. The guests run up the ramp into the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, where they find one lovable Wookiee in the co-pilot seat, Chewbacca, motioning people to sit down and buckle up because they're about to go for a ride and jump into hyperspace. Dodging more TIE fighter blasts, Slave One meteor showers. Chewie points out of the cockpit screen toward a bright light in the horizon. It's the Death Star. And it's here that scenarios 2 and 3 come together to recreate the trench scene with the Millennium Falcon coming to the rescue of the X-Wing and Y-Wings under attack. There's no guarantee the X-Wing or Y-Wing will hit the target. It has to be a precise shot. At the conclusion of the scene or the ride, the X-Wing, Y-Wing, and the Falcon all return to their respective hangars as John Williams' brilliant Star Wars theme plays. The guests receive the hero medal from A New Hope if they blew up the Death Star. If they failed to blow it up, they still get a hearty thank you from Rebel leaders, thanking them for the effort and keeping the spark alive.
Along with Chewbacca.
Along with Chewbacca. We'll get it into this time. So there you go. And I took a little liberties because now that I've been inside the Mickey's Railroad or whatever it's called now, there's a lot of space in there. So I took some liberties.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
So
that
there
was
you
great.
go.
That
There you go. A lot of moving parts to keep up with.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that's again the what do you think of when you think of great movie ride? It's these movie scenes, and this is what I think would be perfect for this.
I'm disappointed in myself though because I didn't include the gift shop at the end of the ride.
The gift.
You can
And
now. In there, you'll have an R2-D2 that you can't buy.
This too can be yours.
Yeah.
You should just have it
Not
in
that
there,
one,
but no, you just have it in there and be like, but you can't buy it. Even if you're rich, you can't have it.
It's not for you. If you would have blown up the Death Star, he would have gone home with you, but you didn't do it. So here's your token.
Yeah.
Here's your galactic credit. Peace be with you.
Well, and that was like, if everybody remembers at the end of Star Tours in the gift shop, the original, they had Darth Vader was standing in there and it was breathing. That's when I really fell in love with Darth Vader. That was the moment when I was like, because I convinced my uncle to name his son Skylar. I was pitching Skywalker, but he named him Skylar. I still counted as a win, so I was a good guy. And then I saw Darth Vader. And it was like, you can't have Darth Vader. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Funny thing about Darth Vader, I was doing an event in Colorado, and there was a guy who's cosplaying as Darth Vader, who was very tall, very Darth Vader-like. It's like, hey, can you help me with my cape? And I'm like trying to get the hook, because you got to put the hooks in the right spot and all counted out. I'm like, I'm getting Darth Vader dressed. Like, oh my God, it was like the first time my art dome turned my basement, I was just in tears, and now here I'm helping Darth Vader get dressed. That's some pretty cool stuff.
That is cool.
I think that would be a cool moment too in your ride is getting to this part where it's just dark and maybe you see some red or something and then you're and like you get the chills, right? And you're just like, oh gosh, we're gonna die, you know.
Maybe that's
like on Rogue One, right?
Yeah, maybe that's your exit to the gift shop. It's
there you go.
Maybe Darth Vader for blowing up his house.
That's right. And that was awesome. Nice job.
That was great. Yeah.
All right,
really
Katrin, what are you thinking?
All right, so mine is sort of similar to yours, Derek, except mine is the great Star Wars television ride. So it's going to cover the different television series, which involves the Mandalorian a lot, but that's okay. It'll still be fun. It's different enough.
Oh, I thought when you said the television series, I thought you were going to do the TV Christmas special.
No,
the same thing.
No, I mostly focusing on the Disney Plus shows, things that came before Disney Plus, but still, you know. So one thing you all didn't really cover as much is the screen at the beginning when you're waiting to board the ride, right? So on mine, it's going to be droids and Ewoks are going to be showing on there, so that those old cartoons, just blips from that, you know, little shorts, you know. And then when you board the ride, the first part is going to be kind of the animated series. So you've got some Clone Wars things happening, maybe. Some of it's going to be screens, but some of it is you've got the droids that are out there, the battle droids and such that are firing and shooting and having battles. A scene where Anakin is training Ahsoka, and you just see them interacting and talking or whatever. And of course, your host on your ride is talking about the history of television shows with Star Wars and different things like that. And you go through maybe a Bad Batch battle scene, and they're all around you and all these different things. And then you get to Rebels, and you see Ezra, Hera, Chopper, Zeb, Sabine, all, you know, everybody in their ship, and they're going on a mission, and maybe you just kind of see into the window and it's kind of dimly lit in there, but you see them talking and looking at each other. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Spaceship Earth, you know, how you see these little scenes going on, but you know, we're going through, and then you enter the volume similar to, you know, you go into Mandalorian, right? And the scene that I picked, I got two. I couldn't decide which one. So Grogu eating the fish eggs, because I think that'd be just funny to have in there. Or I can take you in warm, or I could take you in cold. You know, like the classic scenes from there. You know, and then you go into a Book of Boba Fett scene, and he's just in a bacta tank because that's what he sits in most of the time, or lays in through most of the series. And then you've got the Scooter Gang, of course, is there, and
Have to.
but that's when Moff Gideon comes in, so he's in my ride too. And he takes over the ride. So I had to watch the ride because I hadn't ridden it forever, of course, where you have the gangster guy taking over the ride and you ride through. So this is Moff Gideon. He takes over, and you get into Andor, and it's specifically in like the in the prison where they're each have their own little cell, and you've got guys kind of looking out their cell, but one. There'll be one person that actually went out into the floor, and he's just like, he's shaking, getting zapped. And Moff Gideon's laughing or something. I don't know.
Somebody dies.
Because what I was thinking of is where there's, in the ride, there's at that point you go through kind of a horror movie kind of scenes too, and so I had to think of something that was dark with Moff Gideon taking the helm, I guess, but. And then we go into an Ahsoka scene, and we've got Sabine and Ahsoka that jump out, and they're fighting him. He's got the darksaber, and they take him down, and Sabine ends up taking the darksaber, and they take over the ride. And from there, you go to this transition part where it's a tube, and you see the space whales flying past you as you go through, and they're all around you. And the last scene is Obi-Wan, and he's battling Vader. It's just an animatronic scene, but you hear the line, "I am what you made me." But and then you go into the gift shop, of course, and buy the kyber crystals from I Am Geek and everything else. Yes,
that's awesome.
So
yeah, that's great. And I think, speaking of the I Am Geek kyber crystals, I think he has a few new ones that he's working on. I just don't want to speak out of turn, because sometimes he'll send me stuff that he's working on that doesn't come to fruition, or that's not available yet. And I don't want to be like, hey man, I really liked this, whatever he's working
right
on.
Yeah, the latest ones that are out that are up for sale are the lanterns, and then the Fallout Nuka Cola bottles, that the Quantum Cola and Nuka. So those are all the latest ones. The lantern ones are really cool because you can set the lanterns on like one of the charging pads, and they'll light up, and they kind of flash, I think, but they light up when they're sitting on one of those charging things. So not while they're in the lightsaber, but just when they're sitting out.
So it's definitely time to go shopping.
Yes,
totally. And he was really excited because he figured out how to do the new version of the sounds.
Oh, cool.
Yep, there's new sounds that came out with the crystals and I guess the sabers that at Disney. So, and he's figured out how to add those to his crystals so that it can read those codes or whatever when they're put into the lightsaber. So
yeah. But that just means that all those were already packed into the lightsabers before.
The code is on the crystal, and the holocron and the saber read the codes to play it through. So
yeah, and that's the thing. Like if you get a black kyber crystal, it plays a different sound and stuff. So like I was lucky enough the first weekend I got one. I think I've told the story before where there were guys like using their phones. It was opening weekend, and they were using their camera or the light on the phone. And the lady that was watching, she's like, "Hey guys, let's use the force and not the light." But when they were doing it, they hit one and they put it back, and I grabbed it.
Nice.
That's how I got mine. Yeah, I was using the force.
There you go.
Persuasion or something, or
the dark side, but okay.
That's right. I'm a Sith. I'm a Sith.
I love the fact you just embrace it. That's awesome. You know who you are.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this whole arm is all Sith tattoos, dark sides. There's Samurai Darth Vader and Revan, and then the Death Trooper, and then I've got Darth Maul, Donald Duck, and
Where's Hello Kitty?
No. No Hello Kitty.
We don't talk about that one.
Yeah, that one doesn't get shown. Not on this show. That's on a different show.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
Nice.
I had a couple other ideas that I won't go into details on, but one of them was the Great Mandalorian ride. So I'm glad I didn't end up on that one.
Nice. Good. Perfect.
And then I had the Great Star Wars ride, which you took care of. And then the other one actually was idea one, is the Great Sith ride. And it would have shown different scenes of different Sith throughout. But then I was like, oh, I think that's what my Haunted Mansion was about Sith. So
I would have taken it.
Yeah. That's right. We reuse a lot of ideas. There's only so many Star Wars things.
Yeah, we're repurposing ideas, right?
That's right.
The next time you do, I'm going to steal from you, and I'm just going to make my own stuff up again.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back episodes. I'm just going to start doing someone else's ideas until someone catches on. But like, here's the thing. There's times where like I've listened back to some episodes and I'm like, I don't remember saying any of that. I don't remember doing that. And it's not that we have so many episodes that I should be forgetting. Right. It's just, it's me.
He's like, I got a great idea. We did that in episode 2.
Right. But I mean, part of it, and we started off on the first episode trying to say like this one is the best one of the group, or identifying which one would be the best one, and then we're like, I don't hurt anybody's feelings, or whatever. But in some ways, it's like, well, there's only so many Star Wars things out there, right, to make these rides, we come up usually with 3 different rides, but there's not 3 different versions of the rides at these parks, so the way I see it is like, well, one of those was probably the best out of those, so this is probably going to be okay to reuse the Sith in this one, because again, you can't do it all.
Your podcast will be the best of the best from the year,
right?
Just all the best ideas and great, not just one ride, but the entire theme park, and you just put all the rides in place.
That would be cool, actually. Yeah. That's a good idea.
Now, if R2 got his own ride, and I'm putting you on the spot, what ride at any of the 4 Florida parks, what ride would R2 get?
In the existing rides?
Yeah, let's go existing.
If you were to,
I would start with going by one of the Star Wars rides. I would put R2 in the cockpit of one of the Rising Resistance parts. That I think would be his first ride. But then I can kind of see him in the Tower of Terror, creating his little mischief ways, leading people through the mansion, and then the Haunted Mansion. I mean, R2 is so versatile, right? I mean, people will follow him anywhere, and he can use that for good or bad, I suppose. I think he'd do well in any of those rides. He really would.
I know where I want him. I want him in Pirates popping out of the barrel. That'd be so awesome. But like he only does it like every once a week or something. He'll pop out of the barrel.
You don't get to see it every time. Yeah. That's a good idea.
Then we'll add Johnny Depp next to him as Captain Jack, and R2 can scare him in his drunken ways.
He's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, exactly.
We Star Wars.
Derek. That's fantastic. I love.
Those are all great ideas. We Star Warsified the teacups one time, and I think the idea that I had was having R2, I think, in the middle of it. I don't know if that was right or not, but you know how the top of the teapot blows at the end, so I was like, instead of that, it could be R2 going, wow, at the end of it.
I remember that episode because I wasn't on because I was driving here to move. Yep. And so look, R2 really going after it.
Yes, that's it right there.
Oh my God, it's so cool. Oh, I can't get over it. I'm geeking out on the podcast. Great. R2, I love you. You're so great. Oh, I don't even know where I was talking about now. Just like I'm obsessed with him.
It's funny. His PSI light, I have a setting on there. I got it from a friend, but the PSI light says "I heart you," and his panels will wave to a person in front of him. So it's flashing "I heart you" and waving to him. So there you go.
That's great.
If I had it set up, I would show it to you right now because you said you love him.
Now, when you're programming him, like do you have a Raspberry Pi, or like what are you doing?
It's actually Arduino, and if you promise not to tell anybody, I'll show you how to control it. Are you ready?
I'm
Are
so
you sitting
ready.
down? Wait a minute, before I show you, who won the little contest of best stories?
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, you got it. Oh wow, is
Here.
it like a PlayStation device?
It's a PlayStation 3 controller. It's an app controller. Yeah.
Okay,
So he's all Bluetooth.
very cool.
Wow.
And that's how you drive him around, do the effects, all that kind of fun stuff. It's what's really great about it. You can be discreet. I've got a kind of
Yeah,
a vest thing I have in the pockets. You just walk with your hands in your pockets and drive him around, and people are oblivious to him because invariably people, adults especially, will they'll start looking around. Who's controlling? Right? They want to know who
yeah,
it is, and what I like about that is you get to keep the magic magic. It's R2-D2 is walking around, or he's chasing people. It's cool. It's a
yeah.
lot of fun. We do
Man.
need a
Does, so does he have some automatic things that he does? Like while we're talking, he's moving and all that. Are you doing something there, or is he that
so I,
automatic?
so I was just so I was just moving his head with the controller. There
Yeah,
is an auto setting where his dome will just turn randomly on its own.
yeah,
So if you're just sitting still, his dome will just kind of go every which way, and it gives him the illusion of life that he's not
yeah,
just a static running with lights on. But yeah,
for sure.
he's a good fellow. He's a good fellow. Overweight dog breeds, but I'll keep him.
Well, awesome. Like I'm gonna say, like, this is one of my favorite episodes. This
Yes.
is so cool because, you know, again, if Ron recommended you, I knew you're gonna be cool and seeing your stuff. But this is so fun because it's R2, and this is such a
Yes.
unique thing. Like, we've had a lot of people on the show that everybody knows Star Wars. There's people that, we've had people that are really big, having James and having other people that have been on the Halcyon and all this stuff, but you made R2. That's so cool.
I did, and I try not to forget or to appreciate the fact that R2 is in my office and I see him every day, and I try not to let that get. Oh, there's R2. It's just stand there. I have R2-D2. I mean, when we moved here, the movers unpacked R2, and they're like, "Can we take a picture?" Or we had somebody come in and hand some drinks or whatever it was. He walked by my office and he's like, "Is that R2-D2?" It's R2-D2.
It's
And they
R2D2.
come, "Can I take a video?" And so I'll turn them on and stand and play songs. Then I gave the one guy a lightsaber to hold, one of Sabi's lightsabers. So he's got his picture taken with a lightsaber next to R2-D2. It's just it's cool stuff, man. It's just so awesome. And
That's great.
yeah, so yeah, I built it, yes, but I'm so lucky to be able to be part of such a large community of builders. The R2 Builders Club here in Florida. I mean, the astromech.net, the global group. I mean, there's so many people that do stuff like this way better than I do. And but they're just a great, open, welcoming community. So I would encourage you both to start researching and build your own droids.
I have a Gonk droid that I made. Did
Nice.
the classic take the two tubs and put them together, right? And I have, so in my kitchen it sits in there and it has some lights that kind of blink, and it has plugs on it so you can plug stuff in, I guess. And beside it is our droid that we built in Star Wars Land, good grief. In Galaxy's Edge, we built, people always call it
Nerd.
that. I know, right? People,
It's
anyways,
called Galaxy's Edge,
it's
man.
called Galaxy. I'm sorry. In Batoon, we built the
There you
droid.
go.
So we had this guy at our house that was working on our air conditioner. He's like, "Oh man, did you make that?" I was like, "Yeah, it's a Gonk droid." He's like, and he kind of looked at me weird, and I was like, "Oh, you mean the little one?" Because he was commenting on the little droid, how cool it was, and
Oh no, that thing's terrible. I want the little
that
guy.
hunk of junk.
Do you have
So it's
sound?
fun.
Does your Gronk have sound?
No, it's really low tech, and I didn't
I
even
can
print
send you.
anything. Yeah.
I can send you a file, a file full of Gronk
Oh
images.
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I
That'd be
yeah.
cool.
I had considered it. I have a Pi that I do different things with. Like I had a retro Pi for a while where I could play retro video games on it, and then that lasted all of a week or two. And I was like, okay, I'm bored with this, And now my current project with it is I'm making a Pip-Boy from Fallout that has that really does things when you turn the knobs. You know, it interacts. You can interact with it and play music and all this stuff. And there's a whole, like, a friend of mine printed all the parts out for it, and I'll put it together, and you can buy all the parts to make it work, including like a power board and a screen, a touch screen, and these different knobs, you know. So that's my next thing with trying to make electronic things.
I like electronical.
Yeah.
Electronic is good. We'll go with that.
Yeah, it's like when people say you have an acoustical guitar.
Acoustical. That's right.
I don't know if I've ever heard of that, but okay.
I've heard it a lot.
It
Oh,
happens,
you play the
yes.
acoustical guitar? No, no, not exactly.
So Derek, what do you have going on?
Man, everything. I don't know. My tech center opens next week, so I'm like, or like the grand open. We've been open since December, so it's been a minute. It's just like doing the big party. But you know, as far as Star Wars goes, I'm getting these youth in my tech center interested in Star Wars, and it started with like, you know, they're like, "Well, I've never seen it." I'm like, oh, well, we're gonna watch it. So we started watching it, and then they're like, "Can we watch another one? Can we watch another one?" And they're like, "You know, it'd be cool if we had lightsabers." And I'm like, "You mean it'd be cool if you had lightsabers?" Because I have lightsabers.
Yeah, so I'm already cool.
Yeah. So I brought them in, and they're like, you know, they're like kind of tapping them, and I'm like, "No, y'all, like if you're gonna do it, let's go outside and hit these things." And they're like, "We don't want to break it." I'm like, "You're good, don't worry." And they went at it. It was fun.
Nice.
Yeah. It's fun to see the younger kids just recognize Star Wars and some of this stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's good to know that George's legacy lives on through Dave and through John, and the stories they're building now are just phenomenal as well. I mean, they've done such in my opinion, a great job with all the Disney Plus series. I mean, some are better than others, but overall, for me, if it's a Star Wars journey, it's a Star Wars journey. I'm going to enjoy the ride. I'm not here to nitpick or say this is bad or this isn't canon, whatever it is. I'm enjoying the journey, man. It's an awesome journey to be on, and it started, you know, in 1977. Who thought we would be still having these conversations about Star Wars this many years later, or that it could be new Star Wars content? I mean, that just kind of goes to show what George has done. Now I got to say John and Dave.
Yeah. Speaking of 1977, one of my youth today, he walked in with this hoodie and it said 1977 on it. Right. That's all it said. I was like, "Oh my gosh, where did you get this hoodie?" And he's like, "Oh, it's an Essential hoodie." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, like that's the brand. Like, check it out." And so I like look it up, and it's some big brand or whatever, and it's like $100. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ordering that." I'm like, "You don't mind if I have the same hoodie as you, right?" And he's like, "No, it's cool." He's like, "Why? Like, why do you want it so bad?" Like, that's when Star Wars came out. Like, so
That's when it all
That's awesome.
That's when it all happened. Absolutely.
yeah. But they haven't found out that we just finished Empire. And so they don't know about Luke and Leia. They don't know. They're
surprised.
They're gonna.
That's so funny.
They're gonna be shocked because they made a big deal of Luke macking on Han's girl. And
oh my gosh.
It's about those diamonds for your kids. You better have therapists there just in case. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we have somebody on call. We're good.
There you go. That's fantastic.
Well, Chris, where can people find you? Where do you want them to find you?
Well, the best place to find me is on Instagram. At Colvin Creations _ Colvin Creations. That's where you find most of my build work is on there, either work in progress or pieces that I finished, just random little thoughts I have. I try to throw a little positivity out there every now and then that I find we need positive. We need positive. So if I can add to it, that's awesome. I have Facebook, but it's more of a personal page. I mean, you can reach out to Christopher Colvin on Facebook. It's profile picture is BB-8 and myself from Galaxy's Edge, or actually from the landing bay, I think it was, where you go meet those guys.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those couple things are the best way to get a hold of me. I'm working on some other projects that Derek, I now know that I'm hoping you can help me out with. And we kind of go from there. But guys, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this with you. I I've had a great time. Really have. This
For
is
sure.
awesome. You guys are doing really awesome things.
Thank you.
Great.
And
Thanks for
anytime
coming
we can
on,
have
yeah.
you and R2 on here, that's awesome. It's a dream.
Well, it's more R2 than me, but I get it. It's okay.
Oh, hey, R2 wouldn't be here if you didn't make him, so it's
That's right.
fine.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Meet the maker.
Well, cool. Well, that was episode 27 of Living with the Landspeeder. What are we going to do on 28? I don't know. Is Ryan going to be back? I hope so, because I don't want to do the hosting thing again. It's fine. I can do it, but that's his thing. So until next time, everybody.
Wait, just push the record button.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
That's Katrin's job. I don't do that. That's not me. That's not me. But now that we're done, I can take the bolt off, and then we can really be candid. So until next time, everybody, have a good one out there, and see you at episode 28. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.